With the dog days of summer coming to a close and the college football season, it's now on the horizon, and it's time for me to wrap up my summer scouting with my favorite position, the corner position. I'm going to go over my top 10 corners in the 2026 NFL draft class. Stick around until the end because obviously I'm going to go over some of my honorable mentions. We are going to have a top 100 big board video later this week. Give y'all all those players you want on your watch list as you consume some just magical college football content. But let's go ahead, get into this sucker with number 10. And that's DJ McKinney out of Colorado. He's 6'2", 181 pounds. I currently have a third round projection on him. He's a former 3-star recruit from the 2022 recruiting class. He also played basketball in high school along with track and field. He was a sprinter, hurdler, and also did the long jump. Starts his career at Oklahoma State where he redshirts, and then only really had one start in his redshirt freshman year, and that was in the bowl game. Ends up transferring, goes to Colorado, starts 13 games, 7 pass breakups, 3 interceptions, a completion rate allowed of only 52.1%, pretty darn solid, and now he's on everybody's draft radar. Great height, great length for the position. I've seen a lot of people like him as potentially a press corner, and I think he can play in a variety of different schemes just because he's such a smooth mover, and he's got a great feel for zone, just top-notch route recognition, fluid in his transition. You could go to the BYU game where immediately he recognizes, okay, there really aren't any routes here on my side. A lot of them have crossed, or there may have been a screen, which it's like, okay, this guy can pick it up, but I recognize a deep crosser, so I'm going to go ahead and play that sucker. So he drops from the line of scrimmage, travels about 25, 30 yards to go make a play on the football. It was pretty nice, but the movement skills, they extend to man coverage as well. Just a good ability to mirror. He's able to stay connected in the hip pocket and soft press and ride with the receiver. I'm going to talk about him in actual like press coverage because I don't think I'm there yet with him. But greasy hips, able to turn and run with most pass catchers down the field. He has the length to play press and consistently challenge the catch point with his back to the quarterback. The length also helps him just be a solid tackler. He's able to wrap up well, a 7.5% missed tackle rate last year. Wiry frame could add a little bit of bulk, a little bit of girth to that frame. I feel like he can get bumped around a bit during the route, and this is where him being in press comes into play because I'm not there yet. I think he needs to add a little bit more strength. His press technique needs a lot of work. If you look at just the timing of his punches, just the disconnect from his hands and his feet, I feel like when he does go in to initiate contact with the wide receiver, he kind of stops his feet, lunges forward, overextends, and now you're caught playing catch up because you've now put yourself in a compromising position. So I don't know. We'll see it this year. We'll see how it goes this year. He does struggle to take on blocks and will get stuck on stock blocks, basically receivers just kind of playing man on man with you as a blocker down the field. Does have some interceptions that were kind of gifted to him. You could go to that pick 6 against Oklahoma State and it was like, all right, might have been the easiest pick 6 in the world. So you're gonna kind of question the ball skills. Are you more of right place at the right time type of guy? But despite that, despite the missed tackle rate, there were some bad whiffs. So it doesn't consistently come to balance out in space and just kind of square up, lower the shoulder, and drive through tacklers. But he has the length to kind of make up for that, and just having that ability to lasso tacklers is very promising. So I've seen him much higher on lists, but I think third round sounds about right. Kind of taking that, okay, let's see a little bit more approach. Coming in at number 9, it's Mansour Delane out of LSU. He's 5'11", 191 pounds. This is a guy I won't quit. I was high on him during last year's summer scouting, and he's coming off a down year. Gave up 7 touchdowns. I remember him opening the year against Vandy. It wasn't pretty, but he gets kind of a fresh start here at LSU, and I really think there's no denying his potential. A very fluid athlete, sick movement skills, often tasked with covering the offense's top wide receiver. And that's saying something because he had Doran Strong with him last year at Virginia Tech, and Strong ends up being a drafted prospect. I think he goes in the late day 3 area, but I think Delane's probably the better corner. Again, just my opinion, but I love him as an athlete. Effortlessly changes direction, allows him to just pattern match real quickly. Dude feels like a Vic Fangio type of corner. I'm just going to say that. Shows great route recognition. He's able to trigger on the ball before it even arrives. I mean, last year I talked about how Virginia Tech really used him in a versatile manner where he would line up in the slot, line up in the box as a safety, just because he's got a physical mentality to him. He's just a dog. He's physical. He's mean, man. He's mean. But he also does a good job of quickly reading the quarterback from depth at the top of routes. And he's able to use discretion with his hands, but he could also charge downhill to come make a play. He looks shot out of a cannon at times. I mean, if you look at the last 2 years, 28 stops, which defensive stops, it's a PFF stat, basically. Tackles for loss or plays resulting in no gain. So very active as a run defender. He's able to quickly identify passes out of the backfield in zone coverage, and he's able to trigger on them. And I think you could probably play him both as a man and a zone corner. However, with the slender build, I've seen some skeptical measurements about his length. Don't know if that means, okay, is this a slot only type of player, which the dude is totally built for the slot, right? But I think he can still play outside. I will be curious to see what those actual length measurements are when we get to the offseason draft process. He can get bodied by bigger, more physical wide receivers. At the catch point, sometimes the lack of length can show up downfield. He does play a bit more reactive than proactive. Gets caught trying to undercut routes. That kind of led to some of the big plays he allowed last season. 2 of his interceptions in 2024 came on miscommunication between the quarterback and the wide receiver. So you don't love that, but we know from the year prior that there are a little bit of ball skills there. And I know, what was his missed tackle rate last year? It was 9.4%, so pretty darn solid. There were a couple of games, specifically the Syracuse game, where he was slipping off bigger pass catchers. As a matter of fact, I think the play he slipped off on led to a touchdown. The guy, it may have been a screen. I can't recall off the top of my head. So I would like to. I know he comes in hot, but still, if you can break down as a tackler, that would be nice. You don't want to allow those 50-yard screen plays for tutties. So we'll see how he does at LSU this year. Before we get back to the video, I gotta give a shout out to our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. If you download the app and sign up using promo code Broshmo, they will match that first deposit up to $1,000. Redos. It's the best place to play weekly best ball, or my favorite, higher or lower on player stats. And we got the NFL season coming up. Underdog, they have promos each and every day, and bet your sweet cheeks they're going to just up the promos with the football season back in full force. So get in on the action at Underdog Fantasy when you download the app. Remember, it's promo code BROSHMO. But as always, play responsibly, play within your means. And at number 8, I have AJ Harris out of Penn State. He's 6'1", 185 pounds. I've seen people be all in on him as a first rounder or even potential top 10 pick. I'm not there. I'm kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I get why, but let's go over the prospect, because we're talking about a former 5-star here out of the 2023 recruiting class. He played wide receiver, defensive back, and returner In high school, he also participated in track and field as a sprinter, jumper, and a shot putter. That boy be strong. That boy be strong. Fun fact, he spent part of his childhood in Germany because his father was stationed there for the military, but he starts his career at Georgia, where he was basically a reserve, decided to transfer. Some people are a little suspicious of that. I wonder if it's just a playing time thing. He wanted more immediate playing time. Again, that's just me guessing right now. We'll find out more as the draft process begins. But he goes to Penn State. He starts 15 games, made third team all Big Ten. And the dude is muscular with room to add to that build. And by like muscular, like he's toned up and he can definitely add more if he wants to. Very fluid hips, good foot speed to stay in phase on breaking routes or comeback routes. So basically like just anything that comes back to the quarterback or these horizontal breaking routes. Incredible closing speed when he's coming from off coverage. He's got some legit juice coming downhill. Powerful in press. He's able to disrupt the timing of routes. The hands are also discreet at the same time. As I'm going to go over some of the guys in my top 5, and they're riddled with penalties. Harris isn't one of those guys. He was only flagged twice last year. He's remarkable in zone coverage, just how he anticipates. He does a good job of covering players and not just grass. Clicks and closes quickly. He's able to break down as a tackler. Missed tackle rate 14%. So there were times he did slip off, but I'm not too worried about that. That's still a pretty solid missed tackle rate for a corner. Tremendous when the play is in front of him. This is kind of why I see him more as an off coverage type of player. Or maybe even if you're going to have him in press, have him in zone. So that's kind of where I'm at with the scheme I would like to see AJ Harris in. On top of that, man, he plays with urgency. He rallies to the ball. He's probably the youngest corner in this class. He would only be 20 years old at the start of his rookie year. So probably there's a good chance he could end up coming back. So that's not out of the realm of possibility. I will say, though, there is a disconnection between his hands and his feet in press coverage, similar to what I said with DJ McKinney. He lacks ideal launch speed to carry routes downfield and to get his head around. So just that lack of speed, he doesn't trust himself. I don't want to say he doesn't trust himself athletically, but he doesn't trust himself to be able to turn around and make a play on the ball. He's too focused on I feel like I have conceded too much ground. I need to make up that ground and put a hand in the face of the wide receiver, which again, that's not bad either. But then we're talking about a guy that might not get a lot of interceptions, which there was really no ball production from him last year outside of a pick 6 against Northwestern, which kind of was a gimme. Eyes do stay in the backfield maybe for a little bit too long, and he kind of loses what's going on around him, but he's a very good prospect on top of being very young, and there could be massive levels of improvement from him that could just shoot him up the board, and he could even end up staying because he's so young and be a potential top 10 pick in, say, the 2027 class. Number 7, Dalen Everett out of Georgia. He's 6'1", 193 pounds, former 5-star recruit out of the 2022 recruiting class. Became a full-time starter for the Bulldogs in 2023. This past season, he was a third-team All-SEC, and he's just got the ideal body type for an NFL corner. He checks all the boxes when it comes to height, weight, length. He's got quick feet, able to mirror receivers and stay in phase with them. Solid burst to close windows on routes. The play strength regularly shows up. He's able to play press really, really well. He plays really sticky man coverage just because he is not afraid to lay hands on the wide receivers. He's very comfortable close to the line of scrimmage where he can really just smother routes quickly, especially underneath routes. Very aggressive, plays through the wide receiver's hands. You could check out the Texas game, the second one. So I guess the SEC championship game. Just where a couple of sideline shots turned to interceptions, just because I don't want to say he made a better play on the ball than the wide receiver, but he was able to play through the wide receiver. The length consistently challenges the catch point, fiery competitor in coverage, and as a blitzer, just quote unquote has that bulldog in him. Going into his third full-time season as a starter, and that's in the SEC, that kind of matters. He also brings a good wealth of special teams experience. I will say the speed appears to be average, but if you are a guy that likes to lay hands on wide receivers and you do so with a certain type of discretion, then I think that's fine. I could put up with the speed because I know you're a physical corner who won't get me flagged a ton. So I'm okay with that. Anticipation in zone was a bit lacking compared to man. I don't want to say he was playing more, he was more willing to play grass than field, but that really kind of seems to be the case. He was more focused on hitting his landmarks than what really was going on around him. And gave up 15 receptions of 15 plus yards last season. That's a big number. A lot of that came in zone. Came in him trying to hit those landmarks, not knowing where the receivers were. So I would like to see that improve, or you're just dealing with a guy that loves to play press man, which is A-okay. The NFL loves those guys. Will throw his body around as a tackler. The missed tackle rate kind of soared through the roof for him last year, 19.7%. And the run defense certainly did take a step down from the year prior, but I have no fear in him being able to recalibrate and be a good run defender. You just know Georgia, regardless of the position, these guys are typically good run defenders, so I expect him to bounce back in that regard. But Everett, I don't think he's got the upside of a first rounder, but I think we could certainly potentially talk about him as a top 50. Coming in at number 6, I got Malik Muhammad out of Texas. He's 6 foot, 188 pounds. I have a second round grade on him. I guess I should do that, right? But former 5-star recruit out of the 2023 recruiting class. He was a wide receiver and corner in high school. He also played basketball and participated in track and field as a jumper and relay runner. And then all his cousins seem to be in the NFL in some shape or form. They all play football. His cousin AJ Green, he played corner at Oklahoma State. He's currently with the Rams. You got Jabbar Muhammad, who we just talked about last draft cycle, who played at Oklahoma State, went to Washington, had a banner year. Could have been maybe a fringe day 2 or early day 3 pick in the 2024 draft. Instead, decides to transfer to Oregon, ends up being a UDFA, and I think a lot of that had to do with lack of size. But he's currently, I think, with the Jaguars. He also has another cousin, Abdul Muhammad, who is currently with SMU. So everybody plays football in his family. Muhammad ended up having 2 starts his freshman year, but was a full-time starter last year. Great height and length for the position. Outstanding athlete. Closes the distance in a blink of an eye with long strides. He's got quick twitch. He explodes out of his back pedal. So that background as a jumper, long jumper, really stands out because typically, hey, you need to be explosive for that. He is explosive. Smooth hips to mirror receivers across the field. He's able to kind of shade routes, forcing quarterbacks to throw to the other side of the field, or sometimes he can bait quarterbacks in. There's going to be some questions there with his ball production because he only had 1 interception last year. Some people will be like, well, they weren't really thrown to his side of the field because he was so good at just forcing the quarterback to come off and go through his other progressions, which could lead to coverage sacks. So, I mean, who cares if he's not getting interceptions? I have another reason, I think, why he lacked the interception numbers, because he didn't really lack ball production. He had 9 pass breakups last season. He uses his length to be physical at the catch point, and I think he does a good job of that. He's very willing in run support. That length helps him be able to, when he is in engagement, to kind of like stack, peek, and locate ball carriers. And you know, Texas has him up at 188. I've seen some places list him at 178. he looked 178 last year. So if he did add some mass, I think that's super good, super important, because he kind of had a narrow frame. He was thin-limbed. The play strength wasn't all that. It just wasn't. A matter of fact, like if you saw him lay hands on wide receivers during the routes, didn't really do much. Just didn't. This is why I think the interception numbers aren't high, and by aren't high I mean 1. So I think the anticipation, there were times where he was a tick late and would find himself on intermediate or deep routes trailing fairly early, and he would make up the ground, but he didn't have enough time to get his head around to make a play on the ball, which makes more sense to me. That, okay, yeah, the 9 pass breakups make sense. Can you now turn those incompletions, those pass breakups, into actual interceptions? With better anticipation, I think he can. I kind of already mentioned that he kind of holds on to engagement for a little bit. Oh, I don't think I actually mentioned that, but yeah, well, I talked about his length, where he can stack, peek, and locate the ball carrier. Doesn't necessarily have the strength to be able to actually disengage all the time. A tackler needs to clean up. Leads with the shoulder, sometimes leads with the head. 18.4% missed tackle rate. Not much special teams experience to speak of, but we're talking about a guy that could end up being a first-round pick. And I think with the added weight, better anticipation, more interceptions, probably talking about a first-rounder. At number 5, I have Will Lee III out of Texas A&M. He's 6'1", 191 pounds. And he is, I think, the oldest player I have in my top 10. He will be 23 to begin his rookie season. So not bad at all. But he's a former 0-star recruit out of the 2021 recruiting class. He played basketball and track and field in high school. His uncle, Darrell Lee, was a defensive lineman for Florida back in the day. So Will Lee, he ends up starting his career at Iowa Western Community College, where he redshirted his freshman year. And then he ended up being a junior college All-American, first team All-American. That's when he transferred. He goes to Kansas State, where he started 9 games, ends up missing a game here and there with minor injury. But he looked good in those 9 games, uses that to transfer, join Mike Elko over at Texas A&M, where he started 12 games, made second team All-SEC. He opted out of the bowl game before deciding to return to school. Ended up earning the team's defensive skill awards at the end of the year at a team banquet. So, yeah, kind of nice, right? Kind of nice. This dude's tall and long, man. Tall and long, moves well in space. He has the length to disrupt routes at the line of scrimmage. Kind of makes him an ideal option for press coverage. The wingspan is nasty. He can wrap up ball carriers with relative ease. His missed tackle rate over his career, 9.1%. Violently attacks and defeats blocks with strong hands, which the run defense is kind of, I think, going to be a big reason why people have him higher on their boards than maybe some of the guys you expected to be there. But very fluid in his transition, sinks his hips well, doesn't lose speed when turning to run. And then he has long strides, just kind of maintain that speed and even pick up more speed if we're going downfield. He's got the instincts as an underneath zone corner to change direction and make plays on the football. He had 2 interceptions, 8 pass breakups last year. He's got good short area quicks, and keep in mind, man, the movement skills are pretty good at his size at 191. So you love to see it. As in run defense, he does a good job of navigating traffic or navigating clutter. You also see that when teams try to maybe like pick or rub him. That sounds dirty, but you know, pick routes when he's coming across the field, he will see the pick, and typically he picks the right route to go, whether that's going underneath the pick or over the top of it. Typically, typically you have to make a decision. Okay, am I going to minimize the gain on this play, or am I going to go make a play on the football? That typically will indicate what you want to do. But this dude has showcased ball skills over the last 2 years from A&M to Kansas State. 14 pass breakups, 4 interceptions. I will say he does give a lot of inside position and will grab on in-breaking routes. You can go to the South Carolina game. I think both of his penalties were on either a an in route or maybe it was a slant, but he got real handsy there. Ended up being flagged 5 times over the course of the year. Does mirror well, but shiftier receivers can get him tied up and put him in a blender. There are times where he gets in trouble jumping routes underneath, kind of allowing easy yards because, well, this is the football. Could get better at leverage and contested catch opportunities. He gets really saved by his length in those situations. He can be too aggressive on pursuit angles, which opens up cutback lanes. So trying to get upfield too much, and typically you're the corner. You want to drive these guys to the sideline. You don't want to open up that backside. Hardly played in the slot and was asked to blitz, which is kind of no biggie. You look at his tools and you see him as an outside corner anyway. But Will Lee, he was a surprising watch for me. I watched him a little bit last year before he decided to return to school. And I was like, yeah, he's pretty darn solid. And then you go a little bit deeper and it's like, okay, you know what? In this class, I think he deserves to be pushed a little bit higher. I don't know if he's going to be a top 50 guy for me. He's going to be around that, but he was definitely a pleasant watch. And then coming in at number 4, we start the guys that I think are top 50 prospects. And we're going to start with Keith Abney II out of Arizona State. He's 5'11", 195. I just got done talking about Will Lee being a pleasant watch. Abney was... I freaking, from the moment I put on the tape, I was like, I'm going to like this guy and I'm going to like him a lot. So he's a former 3-star recruit out of the 2023 recruiting class. He played wide receiver and cornerback in high school. He also participated in track and field as a sprinter. He won 4 national championships as a speed roller skater and broke the national record for 13-year-olds in the 300 meters as a speed roller skater. That's just an incredibly wild fun fact. So he was basically a reserve his freshman year at Arizona State last year. Started 14 games, was absolutely a stud. 8 pass breakups, 3 interceptions. That roller skating background, maybe it plays a part because he is so freaking fluid, man. The hips are greasy. He doesn't fall for the double moves. And even if he does, like, he's just such a fluid mover, smooth mover that he's just able to mirror really well. He can run with tempo. It's just really nice. He stays in the hip pocket of receivers. It's literally like he's tied to their waist. A great zone awareness. He's quick to recognize when routes are breaking. Regularly runs the routes for receivers, arriving at the catch point before they do. Eager to get downfield to help in crossing routes. Once the underneath is secure, I kind of mentioned that with like DJ McKinney earlier in the video. He understands leverage, knows how to use it to shrink the windows downfield. You could go to, I believe it was the Cincinnati game. Was it an interception? I think I might be getting him confused with another guy. No. It was him. You go to the Cincinnati game. I don't know if it was an interception, but did a good job with leverage there. Very physical at the catch point, plays the ball like a wide receiver. He also triggers downhill very quickly, 9.5% missed tackle rate last year. However, he is coming off his first full season as a starter. He is only a true junior, though. The frame looks thinner than that 195 listed. I'm just going to say that. Okay, launch speed, but speedsters can pull away from him downfield. He does keep connected for too long sometimes. 7 penalties. Penalties are going to be kind of a theme here with some of the guys that I liked, unfortunately. But yeah, 7 penalties last year for him. Occasionally did bite underneath on in zone coverage when trying to make a play. Didn't see many true press reps there at Arizona State, excuse me. None that I really noticed. He was also inconsistent taking on and evading blocks in run defense. He's willing, but not so much able all the time. Does drop his head too much as when tackling, so kind of want to clean that up. Kind of want to, if you're dropping your head, man, you're risking penalties, so and injury, let alone. But golly, he's such a smooth mover. The ball skills were apparent. I love the little bit of dog he plays with, and I don't know, man. The roller skating background, I don't know why that got to me, but I'm a big fan of Abney. At number 3 is Avion Terrell out of Clemson. He's 5'11", 180 pounds. I have a top 50 grade on him. He's a former 4-star out of the 2023 recruiting class. He played wide receiver, corner, and returner in high school. Also participated in track and field as a sprinter. And if you didn't know, now you know, because you look at Clemson, you see Terrell. That's right. His brother is AJ Terrell, who played at Clemson, was a first-round pick, and is currently playing for the Atlanta Falcons. AJ Terrell, kind of a stud in his own regard. But let's talk about little brother. Let's talk about a little bro. As he kind of immediately found himself into the starting lineup as with 5 starts, but he was in the rotation there as a freshman. And then last year he started all 14 games, made second team all ACC. And let's just get it out of the way. Slender frame, man. Gets pushed around by bigger pass catchers. That's going to be the big con with him. You like the height. You like the length. He's very fast. He's fluid. He displays legitimate center fielder type of range. You can go to their playoff game against Texas to really get a feel for that. Great change of direction. Great body control. Shows comfort in man coverage. Super competitive, not afraid to hit or play the run, man. Had 3 forced fumbles last year. Triggers quickly downhill. He will fight through blocks. He had 19 defensive stops last year, so very active. Times the catch point really well, and he will make plays on the ball. 10 pass breakups, 2 interceptions. And he's very physical with wide receivers during the route and at the catch point. I think Dane Brugler posted this. It was a clip of him against Nick Harbor. So the South Carolina game. But Nick Harbor, kind of a physical masterpiece. And Terrell's like, I ain't afraid of this, man. Sometimes it's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog. Unfortunately, he can get overly aggressive with his hands to compensate for that wiry frame at the catch point. It led to penalties, man. He's too grabby at the top of routes. I felt like he needed to rely a bit more on his athleticism. He ended up being flagged what? I have 8 penalties. Could be 8 to 7. I'm actually now curious. I need to look this up. But while I do that, because I got 2 different numbers here. I want one real number. There will be times he gives up too much cushion in off coverage. It will bite on double moves. You saw that a little bit in SMU when they were rallying back in that in the ACC championship game. And in my opinion, he could end up being in the slot in the NFL. Rarely played it there in college. Last year, he only had 12 slot snaps. But I think in my head, it makes sense, just with that build, with his ability to play the run, that he might end up being just a really good slot player. And if you are going to play him on the outside, you probably have to play him in off coverage. Like, that just makes sense. And honestly, that leads to all the, like, why maybe people won't be 100% in on him. I have just pulled up the penalties from last year. Okay, I got 7. So it was 7 penalties. Okay, why did I write 8 in there? Nope, is what it is. Always got to fact check yourself. Be willing to be wrong, people. Be willing to be wrong. Much like this list which will drastically change as the year goes on. And by the time the draft comes around, be willing to be wrong, be open-minded. And as I mentioned, being willing to be wrong, I'm willing to be wrong on Damani Jackson at Alabama. I got a first-round grade on him. He's 6 foot, 191, former 5-star from the 2022 recruiting class. He missed most of his senior year with a knee injury, so important to note that. He also participated in track and field as a sprinter, won the CIF Division II 100-meter title by tying the state record in California. So legit. He ends up going to Southern Cal, USC, and didn't really do much. He was a reserve his freshman year. He started 11 games, but it wasn't necessarily pretty for USC. He ends up transferring to Alabama, started all 13 games last year, and I thought he did a hell of a good job. 5 pass breakups, 2 interceptions, allowed only 311 yards. He's got an excellent combination of height, weight, and speed. He literally, you see that track speed on tape. He's a rangy player who can turn, run, and cover serious ground. Quality play strength. He can play physical at the line of scrimmage, and he can remain physical throughout the route, and he doesn't do it in a way where it'll get him flagged. He was only flagged 3 times last year. He's got the length and the pop to jam corners and press. He's got the strength to redirect receivers and knock off the route timing between the receiver and the quarterback. Everything is smooth from his back pedal to how he flips his hips. He's flashed ball skills. Regularly was able to get his head around to make a play on the ball. He's explosive at his breaks when coming downhill. Very active in run support. On top of that, I think the potential, because again, former 5-star, the potential is finally starting to look like production for him. Things are starting to click for him. And that's why I'm willing to say, hey, if they're clicking, I think we're going to see this cat in the first round. We saw Terry and Arnold. Once he got a little bit more playing time, things started clicking, ends up being a first-round pick. I will say occasionally he is too quick to flip his hips in bail technique and will keep his eyes on the quarterback and kind of lose track of the wide receiver. Pretty grabby during the route. They did feel like he got away with some calls. I think specifically Auburn, where it was like, how are you not flagged? But for the most part, like throughout a majority of his games, it was like, okay, I think he does a good enough job of not warranting the official to throw a flag. Stalks rather than drives downhill from off coverage. So I don't know, man. I feel like with either the short game or run plays that break to the outside, maybe he could do a little bit more to get upfield, but he's also doing a solid job of minimizing the gain. So I'm not too upset about that. He does struggle to break down as a tackler, though. 22.4% missed tackle rate. Not good. But he has all the tools. Another year at Alabama. He has a really good year in the SEC. I think he's an easy first-round pick. Then at number 1, it's my guy, Jermod McCoy out of Tennessee. 6 foot, 193 pounds. This was my dude all last season. And I knew he wasn't draft eligible last year, but I was like, hey, this is probably going to be my dude in 2026 because I watched a lot of Tennessee. And I just love how he plays the game. But there are some reasons for concern. So we'll get to that in a sec. He was a former 3-star recruit from the 2023 recruiting class. Played wide receiver, corner, returner in high school. He also played baseball and participated in track and field as a jumper. He won the 5A state titles in the long jump and the triple jump. His cousin, Travis Gibson, you might have heard of this dude, played edge for Tulsa for being a 5th-round selection in the 2020 draft by the Chicago Bears. Is he currently with the Seahawks? I don't know where he is currently, but yeah, okay, so he's got a little bit of NFL tie there. He begins his career at Oregon State Started in 5 games, decided to transfer, goes to Tennessee, started all 13 games, was the second team All SEC last season. Unfortunately, early January, he tore his ACL while training. And that's kind of the red flag here, right? It's like, okay, well, what's going to happen to his draft stock if he has to miss this upcoming year? Does he return? Does he just use the off-season draft process to rehab his stock? And he's like, I think I'm going to be more ready than you expect, as he was already going through individual drills at team practices. He's not doing scrimmages with the team. So they're still being careful, and they want to make sure he's back to 100%. But knowing that he's already at practices doing individual drills leads me to believe we might see him maybe somewhere in the first 4 to 6 weeks of the season, which some people were thinking he might not even play next year. So that's huge. Now, if he comes back, the athleticism is going to be a question mark. We're going to see it. So let's go into what I like first, and then we'll circle back into some of the maybe negatives I have. Ideal body type for a corner, fluid athlete who mirrors well, sticks in the hip pocket of receivers, loves press and gets his hands on receivers early to disrupt the timing, physical throughout the route and at the catch point. Receptions are earned against him. On top of that, excellent ball skills, takes cues from the wide receivers on when to get his head around. Even if they're going to hit him with late hands, he does a good job of getting that hand up there and making a play. He had 6 pass breakups and 4 interceptions last year. Good short area quicks. He's able to trigger quickly from off coverage. Great route recognition. Able to bait the QBs in with false leverage. You go to the Oklahoma game. I don't know if it was Jackson Arnold at quarterback. I can't recall now that I think about it. But Arnold thought he had the outside leverage, where McCoy, he's dropping back and he's kind of playing inside, kind of to bait that. I think it was a post. Not a post. I think it was some sort of corner route. Maybe it was an out route. But Arnold tries to take a shot there. Just quickly, boom, flips the hips, goes, because he was anticipating. He was expecting it. That's what he wanted, and turned it into interception. Consistently wraps up and is a sure tackler. 7% missed tackle rate. Gojo, you coming in here? Say hi to the people? No, you just want head pets. All right, so let's talk about some of the negatives. He's more quick than fast. Faster receivers are able to stack him. Will the speed be even more detrimental coming off the ACL? We'll see. Can get grabby downfield if he feels like receivers are separating from him. He had 8 penalties last year. That is a lot. Doesn't attack upfield and run support, and is looking more so to contain the ball carrier, which is fine. Again, this is kind of a nitpick. It could go both ways. I think it was Will Lee where I criticized him for attacking upfield too much. Now I'm criticizing McCoy for not attacking it enough. Again, these are kind of nitpicks in the run game, because to me, the run game is a little bit secondary for a corner than the passing game. And if they can be sure tacklers, then okay, I'm fine with it. Speaking of sure tacklers, he will dip his head into contact with ball carriers. Ooh. Doesn't have a ton of experience in the slot. I think he only played the slot 20 times last year, but I think that's fine. I'm a huge Jermon McCoy fan, and he probably would have been a top 10 pick for me if the ACL injury wasn't a thing. But it's time to talk about some honorable mentions here on the list. I got to start by talking about a safety. Jalon Kilgore out of South Carolina. I saved him for my corner watch because every outlet is talking about this guy as a corner, and I get it when it comes to the size, the length, the athleticism. However, what he did last year at South Carolina, he played a lot in the slot. He played a lot off coverage, kind of coming downhill, because he comes downhill with a lot of burst. So I'm looking at this. I was like, I feel like he's more of a box safety slot corner than he is actual outside corner. And I get you like the length and stuff. Oh, you could probably play a lot of press, but some of his best reps was him coming downhill from off coverage. So I decided to list him with my safeties, but I didn't mention him in my safety video because I hadn't watched him yet. Because I thought he was a corner. Watch the tape. Didn't feel that way. I felt like he resonates more to me as a safety. So going back to my safety video then, he probably would have been my safety 7, almost 6. I really love Terry Moore from Duke. And I know he's coming off the injury too, but I'm a big Terry Moore fan. But Kilgore, we'll see with him, man. We'll see what he does this year for the Gamecocks. But his film was pretty darn fun to watch, but that's the role that I have him in, and I thought I had to mention him. A guy who just missed the list that, quote unquote, maybe was 11, and I did have a 3rd round grade on him, was D'Angelo Pons out of Indiana. I freaking love this guy's tape. I don't care that he's 5'9", 170. Like, legitimately, horrible measurements. Horrible. For most people, they will look at his measurements, look at his size, and be like, we are out. He just doesn't hit those thresholds. However, he is that whole, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog. Because he scraps with everybody. He is a wonderful athlete as well. Blazing athlete. He won state titles in the 100 and 200 meters, man. He's got elite speed and quicks. But he's feisty as hell. Even when he gets bounced around, he comes back quickly to get right back in the grill. I was about to say, I think it was the Cincinnati game, and I thought I was getting it confused with Abney. But I think it was probably the Washington game, right? Where he went head to head with Denzel Boston and was able to get the interception. Dude even played Jeremiah Smith well last year. So it's like, there's only so far I could have you with just historically bad measurements. There's only so far I could put you up. But because you don't want to bet against the standard all the time. You just can't do that. This is one of the guys I feel like you can go with that. Even if he ends up being a slot just because of the size, I think he's going to be fantastic in that role. I do want to mention Chandler Rivers from Duke, because he's another guy with not great size at 5'8". Does got more pounds on him at 184. Not as good as an athlete, though. That's why Pons is higher on my list. We could talk about more slot corners here, as we got Xavier Scott, who I think is more safety than corner, but he could end up being a slot corner in the NFL. He added weight in the offseason, so he checks off a lot of boxes physically, and he just plays really well in zone coverage, has good anticipation. His ball skills from the last 2 years, 12 pass breakups, 6 interceptions. He's got that dog in him. It's just he's got a history of injuries, especially ankle injuries. Was it the ankle injury last year? Let's see. No, not last year. No, it was ACL, ankle injury in high school. Oh, and then spring practices, he was limited by an ankle injury. Okay, there we go. Not like a big red flag, but something to like take note of. Played more slot than he did on the outside. Might project better at safety, but I'm willing to watch more of his game. You got Davidson Igbinosun. I get it. People love his size, love his speed. 16 penalties. Historically, that's generational. That's so many freaking penalties. I think he might end up being, I think his physicality and his tools might play better at safety. So I'm out here looking at all these corners and calling them safeties. What is this class? What is this class? Let's see. Tacario Davis. Did he make my top 10 last year? He probably did. Yeah, he was probably even in my top 5. Kind of had a down year in Arizona. He's going to rejoin Jed Fish at Washington. He's 6'3", 197. He's got incredible length, and he moves better than you would expect for a bigger corner. So there's a lot to like there with him. Any other guys I really want to mention? I feel like yeah. Let me give shout outs here. So shout out to Jair Hill out of Michigan. Wonderful athlete. Great combination of height, length, and speed. Dude is so quick. However, he started like the first 9 games, looked pretty darn good, but then he was benched at the tail end of the season. I mean, so much so they stripped him of his number, his jersey number. So we got to see how he claps back, because the last we saw of him was him being benched. So I put a question mark by his name, but I like him a lot in press, and I think Michigan kind of got away from playing more man, more press as the year went on. I mean, we Martindale, you're like, yeah, no, this is your press king. That wasn't really the case last year as the year moved along. Elliott Washington II out of Penn State. I just don't think he's got a lot of snaps to his name, but he's got an interesting build. He's muscular, versatile body type. Made Bruce Feldman's freaks list for his speed and explosiveness. So he's going to be someone I'm going to be watching during the season. There were quite a bit of guys that I couldn't get to. I ended up watching close to 30. I think it was 30 guys. Yeah, 30 guys for the corner class. But did miss a few, like Jontez Williams from Iowa State, Jermaine Wilson, formerly of Houston, now at Florida State, Smith Snowden of Utah. We got Cameron Callahan, who was, I think, formerly Utah. Yeah, formerly Utah, formerly Michigan as well, and now at Alabama. DJ Harvey, who was at San Jose State, now he's at USC. There's Josh Moten, who was at Southern Miss, formerly of Marshall, but also formerly at Texas A&M. Chris Johnson at San Diego State. So, like, looks like there might be a ton of like solid corners in this class that I just unfortunately couldn't get to. Christian Gray might be another name that pops up. I thought he was really grabby. I thought his press technique needed a lot of work. I thought physical receivers gave him the business. I thought the anticipation just needed to get better with him, but good athlete. Let's see how he does in his second year as a full-time starter for Notre Dame. But that's it for the video. Go ahead, do that YouTube thing. We're back with watch-alongs. I'm not going to be in Dublin, but we're going to be watching Iowa State, Kansas State go to Dublin this Saturday. So tune in for that sucker. And then, of course, go check out. I'm gonna have my top 100 big board prior to the season, and that day I will be releasing my draft guide. So be on the look for that sucker. But as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.